Hey friends from the interweb, Justin Byrne here. Just gonna answer some more questions we got in to our Facebook. We got a woman from Canada and she's asking this question. What does it look like to guard your heart? Speaking from a woman's perspective, though I guess it could be applicable for guys, yet being open, inviting to guys you're interested in. And then she has a little add-on. Along this line, I had seen a Facebook post a while back from On Day 6, and it talked about, On Day 6 is an online dating thing. And it talked about guys fearing rejection and was basically encouraging women to give the authentic open invitation often with no strings attached. So then the guy feels a bit safer, I assume, in parentheses, to step out and make a move in quotations. If I understood that correctly, I guess it stands out to me because I find I will be interested in someone and maybe don't initially see obvious signs of interest, but still I don't mind to get to know a person as a friend and see if there could be something. Yet I find myself wanting to plan all these social events that might involve this certain person. And she goes on to say, anyway, so because of my interest, I can feel vulnerable, especially not really knowing if they're interested. So I guess I want to know how to walk in wisdom, help to read the signs of interest, to not wear my heart on my sleeve in an unhealthy way or striving in the process, but to just relax and breathe and trust God with the outcome and still be brave in knowing what it looks like to risk in a healthy way. Okay, there's a lot there. But a few things I noticed is, well, the first question, what does it look like to guard your heart? And this is kind of funny, but I once asked a homeless person if they would give me relational advice. And this is what this one guy said to me. He said, it's good to control your like. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? He goes, it means like you don't like somebody too much and you wait until you see them in conflict or see how they handle anger or see how they are with their family. And I think we all know that. It's good advice, but guarding your heart is you taking care of your heart, you taking care of your emotions, of your experience of the relationship. And that's your responsibility is to, one thing I think about is if my emotional involvement, all my feelings, my affection is growing faster than the relational element of the relationship, which is the things I know about them, the experiences we've had, the stuff that I've seen in action, not just in words, the time that we've had together. We've been through good things, we've been through bad things. That's the relational. You know how you relate to each other. If my emotional level is getting higher than my relational level, then I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm starting to put my heart in a place that isn't in reality. Because that relational element is always going to be capped off. That's as far as you can go, as good as you can relate to the person. Because that's what a relationship is. That's what marriage is going to be. It's relating to somebody. And we have these ideas that are bigger than what we actually relate to in a person. So controlling your like, number one. I do this. If I start to like somebody and I can start to feel fun feelings and then I start to notice sometimes I'll be alone and I'll imagine maybe fun things I could do with them, and I'll imagine doing those with them, and I'll leave after thinking those thoughts feeling different about the person. And I realize all those feelings that I just acquired and ideas about who this person is was only originated from my thoughts, not from experience. And all the fun feelings that would bring to think about that, I go, no, it's not in reality. I can't allow those to give me information. I need only reality to give me information about this person. So I watch over my thoughts to watch over where my heart is and control your like, number one. Number two, what does it look like to guard your heart? Well, sometimes guarding your heart can be another name for I'm just afraid. And like it's good to be smart. It's good to not just bare your soul to any person, and it's not good to be with somebody who's abusive, or that's a destruction, that's destructive to be in a relationship with them. So I'm not talking about those cases. In the case you're with somebody who's a good person, and the people around you like them, and you find yourself making excuses to say that you don't quite feel safe when it really is safe, I would ask myself, am I just acting out of fear, or is it really unsafe? And a lot of times it's more so the first one, which is I'm afraid. And one of the first things humans do when they're afraid is they don't want to admit it. They will go through so many lengths to make up a story or be able to not own their fear. Because what it means is, if it's a fear, then that's something you're responsible for, that you need to overcome, and that's scary, and people don't want to face that sometimes. So they'll unknowingly make up something that sounds really wise, and in some cases it's really good, but misapply it and use it as an excuse to stay in fear. So if you're saying you have to guard your heart so much, I would say either you're hanging around with a wrong crowd, which you really do need to guard your heart a lot, or you might want to check if you're actually just being afraid when you should take a little more risk. So that's another thought. Number 2. Number 3, have people outside of your relationship talk to you and give you advice, and hear people that you trust that have had good relationships in the past, because outsiders will see your relationship better than you will. Why? Because you're involved. It's like being too close to the painting. You can't really see the overall picture. You can't. Infatuation makes people stupid, and it blinds us from the truth. It's constantly tempting to blind us. Infatuation, and we all know romantic feelings are a powerful thing, and they're wonderful, and they can be very misleading. And have people that you trust that can speak into your life while you're going through a relationship, because they will help you see things more clearly. And that will in turn help you know how much to invest your heart, how to approach it, wisdom in walking it out, and that will help you guard your heart in a smart way, in a non-fearful way, but just understanding what it's going on. Number 4, healthy sexual and emotional boundaries. Now, there's a side effect to this that's really good. When you set boundaries about what you want, you get to see how the other person treats that. And it's instant information into their action. And that's what you want in a relationship. You want to find out what people's truest actions are, because you want to avoid, when you get married, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, the person is not what you thought they were. And you jumped into things a little bit too soon. You didn't really know what you didn't know. And there's always going to be a little bit of that, but you want to minimize that. You don't want to find out tons of new things after you get married. You want it to just flow in how you did your dating life. And one of the ways to do that is you bring yourself, you bring your values, you bring your way of doing things, and you keep it. It's that simple. You keep it, and you see and you observe how the other person reacts to those things, and you do that over time. It's not just one time. You gotta stay courageous to keep bringing yourself consistently, even if it paints you in a bad light, even if it may turn the other person away. You need to be able to keep those boundaries, because they'll give you the good information you need, and that is a very safe place to be. When you see yourself keeping your standard, keeping your values, keeping your boundaries, and somebody else meets you and they're like, oh, I'm right on board. Yeah, that's easy for me. And you see them walk it out. It's going to make you feel so much more at peace. It's going to give you good information that, oh, this is a safer place to open up my heart. And so you can open up your heart accordingly, versus you do that with somebody and you set your boundaries and standards and values and they consistently come up to it, and maybe it's like butting heads, or it's difficult, or they do it for a little bit but then it falls off again, and then a little bit and it falls off, and you want to see the good, but find somebody who's on the same page. You're going to want that years down the road, where it's just easy to be on the same page with somebody. And in those situations, it's a good place to open up your heart. Lastly, don't commit past your peace level. And I say this to myself many times, if not all the time. If I'm feeling anxious about a relationship, I'll look back to where I overstepped something in some form of commitment or internal expectation or commitment to the person, or something I said. And anything that you give that's above what you feel peace about, you're going to feel anxious. I've heard it said, go back to where you lost your peace. And that's a good thing to do. Go back. If you said, yeah, you were talking about marriage and you started feeling anxious right after, and you realize, I'm not ready for marriage. You need to go back. And if you just talk to them, say, you know what, I stepped out of turn. I need some more time. I'm still interested, but I need to just back off, and because I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. I didn't even know it. And you'll find if you stay right where your peace level is, you're not anxious. And we can make better decisions when we're not anxious. And it's a way better experience, and it's safer for your heart to be involved. Here's the thing. In romantic relationships, if your heart isn't involved, if it doesn't have some element of being a little bit scary, or you can feel that you are giving them something valuable, then you're probably not doing relationship on a very deep level. And that won't be fulfilling in the long run. And so you can't avoid having your heart involved. So you need to be able to guard it with wisdom and give appropriate steps their time to reveal themselves. But also, you're going to have to be able to involve your heart. And so it's managing it, but also making sure you let it go at the same time when it's appropriate, when it's wise, and when it shows signs of something good and it's been tested and you see it through experience, not just through words. And so there was a few other questions in there. One was, you want to know how to walk in wisdom, not to wear your heart on your sleeve in an unhealthy way, how to trust God with outcome while still risking in a healthy way. Evidence of trust, of belief that God is for you, that He's got something for you, He's planning your life out with you, that He's going to bring opportunity to you. Evidence of trust is rest. When you really trust that somebody's going to do something for you, don't panic about it all the time. You rest knowing it. I believe it will happen because I trust it. And I would say ask yourself this. How to trust God with outcome. Are you able to rest? And if not, check and find out where you may not be trusting God as much as you thought you were trusting Him. How to risk in a healthy way. Well, this girl had talked about she's wanting to plan all these social events that might involve the person that she'd be interested in, online dating, different things, or the on day 6 thing. She's already identified things that she can do. But then right after that, she goes, anyway, so because of my interest, it can feel vulnerable, especially not really knowing if they're interested. And that's the key thing. Oftentimes, when we start to really like somebody, when we have the capacity to give our heart, and it actually is scary because that's really being vulnerable, it's going to be a little bit scary. And what that means is sometimes we ask questions, well, how do we do this? When that's how you do it. You got to take the risk. And she's already thought of ways she could involve getting to know this guy, or different ways to meet and hang out. But it's just a little bit scary sometimes, and you got to just do it. You gotta take some step. And the best way to do that, break it down. Do some small step you can do. If you can't put together a social event that invites people together, then just say hi to someone. Just start there, or just give them a phone call, or go to some event that you know they're going to. Start where you can, and because that movement fuels hope. I think we all can sense when stuff isn't happening, we can expect things not to happen. When there isn't movement, why would we expect something to magically happen? And I think for us internally, we have to see ourselves doing something, and then we can start to put together, oh, I'm not going to keep myself from these things that I desire. And I'm building the courage through courageous steps to build that belief that I can do that. And right, you'll see it. As soon as you start taking steps, hope just starts to blossom, and you start to think differently, and you start to look at the world differently. And I remember this one time I broke up with my girlfriend. It had been a few months at the time. I was walking across the crosswalk, and it was literally, 30 feet or 50 feet, however long it is. And I walked from the beginning, and I was looking at my phone, and I saw a Facebook post of her with another guy with her arm around him. And I got to the other side of the crosswalk, and I felt terrible. And I'm like, and I get it, it's not fun to see your ex, but I was so objective. I'm like, why on that side of the street I was feeling so good, and I see one picture, and I'm on this side of the street, and now I feel so bad. From there to here, I just did something that just completely changed the state of how I interact with the world, what I feel, and how I feel about myself and my future. And I looked at this photo, and I'm like, what does this say to me? With her having her arm around some other guy, and it says that she is moving on. She's genuinely moving on, and she is going to be with this person. And what that meant for me, so why would that hurt me? Well, what it meant to me is, if she's with him, that means she won't ever be with me, even though we were broken up. And it made me realize I still have hope put in that person. Because if she's not going to be able to do that with me, then I'm out of luck. And that's how it felt. And I realized I just became hopeless. In one picture, I realized my hope was put in a person instead of God's possibility for my life. And I just switched that, and I just started having a dialogue with God as best as I could, and just asked questions and listened for answers. And I asked, God, do you really have somebody for me? And I just thought, if he's really all-knowing, and if I really believe that he's God and he's all-knowing, then how could he not have an opinion about the mixture of two certain personalities, two people coming together and making something really special? And I thought, well, of course he probably has an opinion if he's all-knowing, or he has this idea of something he can see better than I can see. And all of a sudden, this thinking just snapped me out of, oh, I'm never going to have somebody because she's with somebody else, to, oh, I wonder who she's going to be. And it restored possibility, it restored future for my life, and it even turned to the point of, oh, I'm glad that my ex has somebody to be with, because I'm going to be happy in the future. It completely shifted how I interpret my entire world. And it's all connected to my ability to stay in a place of hope. And so trusting God is partly keeping our trust in him, not in people, not in only what we see, only what we understand. Life is so much bigger than what we see and what we understand, and we have to keep it that way. Okay. Oh, last thing, I'm going to say this. Action reveals reality. If you feel stuck, if you feel discouraged, if you feel hopeless, find one good place that we can take a little bit of risk with some action. Those two things, risk and action, and take it, and then do this. Notice what feelings come up. Most of the time, it'll be fear, it will be insecurity, it will be maybe anger, it will be maybe offense. Action reveals reality. When you take steps, it shows you what's really going on inside. And sometimes it's good just to take steps, just to really see what's really happening, because we can claim something is happening in our life when it's really not. And like sometimes when we say, I'm just going to protect my heart, but you're not protecting your heart. You're protecting from feeling fear. You're protecting yourself. We can say it's one thing, but it really is something else. Take action. If you want to become more courageous, more comfortable with yourself, start taking action and notice what it's showing you about yourself. And it can be very revealing, and it can get you the truth, and that's where you can start to see things change, because you're actually touching what's really happening, and you're not staying in this fantasy world that you're too afraid to admit that you're afraid, or whatever it is. So, protecting your heart, be smart with it, but also we're going to have to open up our heart at some time and keep finding your steps of courage and risk that are healthy. Keep people involved, have good boundaries, and don't commit past your peace level. Stay where you feel peaceful about it, and that should be a good start to help you guard your heart in a healthy way. So I hope that helps you. All right, see you guys later. Bye.